talk for a minute. So, let's just get this out of the way. Today we're going to talk about how to fail. I know. No one wants to talk about that. We don't fail. We plan. We coordinate. It's just because you make one mistake, you're not a failure. Let's get all the pep talks out of the way right now. I'm not here to say you are a failure. A failure, a failed activity does not dictate who you are. So let's just get that off the table. But you are going to fail at something. We all are. I'm currently trying to bounce back from a screw up on my end. Life happens. Doesn't make me less of a person. It means I made a mistake. It's going to happen in the SCA. Some of it's going to be little stuff. It's going to be, you put a lot of time, probably money into the martial arts, fighting, or, heavy rapier, archery, thrown weapons. You went out and bought your own kit, and it's not working out. And it's getting to the point where you're injuring yourself. Like you're going into work on Monday after Saturday practice, and your shoulder's so jacked up you can barely roll your shoulder. I've been there. You started doing art, and you promised someone you'll paint something for them, and now you just can't do it. Yeah, it happens. You promised you're going to help someone set something up, and you keep putting it off. Or you've missed 2 meetings, or you slept through one of them. Yeah, that's happened. Let's not sugarcoat it. If there's something that needs to be done, and it's not getting done, that is a failure. It is what it is. But that's not where this stops. And that's what we need to talk about right now. There's a way to fail. Let's start with that, because that's what I need you to understand. There are a couple of ways of failing, but there's a right way. The wrong way, let's tell you where this should not go, is burying your head in the sand and not talking about it. Because that's bad. Well, that's really bad. That leaves people hanging. That leaves groups or communities not knowing. And it leaves them wondering how reliable you are. It leaves them curious as to, do you even care? And I've seen it happen. I've seen people that we call it cratering. They just kind of vanish and leave a whole bunch of half-finished stuff. And they get so consumed by what they're trying to do, and they just can't do it, sometimes for some really good reasons, and they never reach out and say something, so we're all left with questions. And I'd say the biggest failure there is they didn't fail the right way. So, how do you fail? It sounds like a really goofy question. I'm going to tell you. Number one is you communicate. You articulate, why isn't this getting done? Why am I doing it wrong? You tell whoever is depending on you to get this done, this is why it's not done. You keep that communication going too. And you tell them. You tell them that it's not happening, and if you're going to try again and that falls through, you need to tell them that. You need to keep people in the loop. And you need to tell them why. You need to be honest with yourself and say, I'm not up to this. I bit off more than I can chew. I hurt myself. I'm having a mental health issue. I'm stressing out. I don't know. That's valid. That's valid. You don't have to self-diagnose. You don't need to go to an MD and get a printout paper saying that you're hyper stressed. You can say you don't know, but you can also say whatever is going on right now, I just can't do this. And here's why. Here is why this is so important. Because the next step after you've articulated this, the next step after you've told someone, okay, this isn't happening, I'm sorry, is you can begin the process of transferring that responsibility to someone else. You can make sure paperwork is transferred, tools are transferred, equipment is transferred. A lot of times property is involved. You may be doing a project for your barony or shire or canton, and sometimes their stuff is mixed in. You got to make sure that gets handed over to the right person. But here's why. Here is why that is so, so important. True story. I watched someone fail at one point, and they just cratered. They stopped responding to emails. They stopped responding to instant messages. They didn't answer their phone. We never got our paperwork back. We never got the forms that they had. We didn't hear from them for 4 years. And just that question mark when we saw them again, it was like, what happened? We weren't sure we could count on them to do anything. Not a knock on them, it was just a big question mark. And when you're working real hard to get a project done, that's not a question mark you want to factor into an already tight plan. That was the wrong way to fail. But I'll tell you the other way. The other way is when you realize you're in over your head, you realize this is not going to happen, you realize you bit off more than you can chew. You call, just like another person did, and say, okay, I'm sorry. Things have happened, life's happened, I can't wrap my head around this, I'm sorry. Can we get someone else roped in here, and can I get this over to them so that it gets done? And I remember that conversation, because I was part of it. And we had, wound up telling the guy in question, okay, there's a Denny's down the street, tomorrow, 4:30, come on over. I wound up buying lunch for their, I think it was dinner actually, I wound up buying dinner for him, just, something to help lift his spirits. And we sat, we talked, we figured it out. He was right, he couldn't do it, his life had caught up with him. And we said, all right, give me the paperwork, give me the forms, and I'm going to talk to someone else I know, and we're going to switch this over. And later on, when the seneschal asked, okay, why is this delayed, what's going on, because that's his job, he needs to know, I told him, I said, this guy, the guy who got assigned to it, he had a stress point, and he said he can't do it. He talked to me, and we agreed to hand this over to someone else to be able to do it. And I remember what the seneschal said. I remember the seneschal saying, all right, excellent. At least he had the presence of mind to speak up and hand it over, so we have a seamless transition. And from a leadership standpoint, that meant that the project kept going. We weren't delayed. That particular one, I remember, was part of a group activity. I think we're getting ready for an event in a few months, and none of that was delayed because we had the handoff. But also, when that guy came back, he was real worried about what people would think of him. He was real worried about, being thought of as unreliable. But the seneschal pulled him aside and said, man, you did great. You figured out you were in over your head. You identified it yourself. That's awesome. And then you reached out and got help. I couldn't ask for a better solution. I mean, it's rough that you didn't get it done, but in the grand scheme of things, the fact that you reached out and you talked to us and we got the handover done in plenty of time, you're great in my book. We're looking forward to getting you back. And please let us know when you're ready to hop back in. We got some projects, and we'd love to have you on board, and we'll make sure to get you some backup and some support so that you don't have to do this the hard way again all by yourself. And that's because he failed the right way. Now, obviously, not everyone's circumstances are going to be the same, and I'm not trying to say that all answers are the same here. But we all, every last one of us, have on multiple occasions realized that something we're trying to do is going to belly up on us. And there's a right way to deal with that, and there's a wrong way to deal with that. And a lot of that also goes back into the real world, but we're here to talk about SCA. So what I want you to do is I want you to just think on this. And I want you to make a plan. What happens if you're going to fail on that big project you're working on in the SCA? Are you going to just ride it out and watch it crater and burn? Or when it hits that point, are you going to call up your marshal or your seneschal or the officer or the other people, around you and say, all right, I'm sorry, this isn't going to happen. I don't want to see the project die because of this. What do I need to do to bring this back together? Who do I need to talk with so I can hand this off? Because that conversation, the project may never get completed or it may get moved on. But people are going to remember you as someone that had the wherewithal and the self-awareness to say, I want to do my best. I can't do this on my own. Let me reach out for help. And that right there is going to set you apart from a lot of people. So, I know we don't like talking about failure. We don't like thinking about it. It's not something that we like to advertise. But the fact of the matter is that failure is something we need to factor into our plans. Because when it does come knocking, it's good to have that plan ready to go. So, next time any of you want to chat with me on that, I look forward to seeing you at the next event. Until then, goodbye and God bless.